Hello and welcome back to mentfx. It's been a phenomenal week. I hope all of you have had a great week, a great start to the new year. It's only 8 days in, so that's really cool. The group is popping. The mentorship is doing great. People are getting funded left and right. People are starting to take in all these concepts, post their own markups, their own charts, looking at their own currency pairs. Everyone's just diverged into their own pairs and posting setups and stuff. It's been an absolutely phenomenal week for everyone. We've had a few people get funded this week off of their own trades. For any of you that saw the gold drop, beautiful trades off of there. We caught some eurocad shorts as we were expecting shorts this entire week. There was one opportunity for a counter trade upwards until we saw these shorts come down, and we were able to lock in our profits at the beginning of this higher time frame order block, expecting for prices to make their way back down into here for that longer term accumulation that we're all watching together on the higher time frames. As you can all see, we just created this sign of strength right here from the confirmation from basically Wyckoff. Here's a sign of strength that broke all these structural points. We have a little bit of imbalance in here. That's where our target was, and we are just about to start dropping into here to get into our potential 1 to 20 or even higher trade. Again, focusing on these highs, but mostly these highs and higher than that, but we'll see how that goes. It's more so for the mentorship, so we don't really have to cover this here. However, we've had some beautiful trades, some shorts this week, and we're just going to talk a little bit about that to kind of get you all thinking about how to use the concepts that you know. For those of you that are in the mentorship, of course, it's going to help you send out even better trades as the weeks unfold, as the months unfold, and as you all get funded. And for those that are just on YouTube, this is going to give you a little bit of value about how you can start using these concepts again to get involved in trades, and how we basically got involved in the trades this week. So on Sunday, so previous Sunday, we spoke a little bit about how we were going to be short on this market. We were hoping this high and this high would hold, and we would see a retracement back up into these areas of imbalance because prior to the week when it opened right here, we ultimately had a ton of imbalance here that we needed to get filled, right? Technically, this entire area here, which all need to be filled in for fair price before we got up to the order blocks up here to look for shorts. And as the week started, we began looking for those shorts on that pair. And as we work our way down a little bit here, right? Basically, we started here. We started to see significantly lower prices. And as those lower prices were met, although we left equal highs, so again, we're not going to talk too much about the liquidity that happened here. The point of this liquidity here, and as we start trading it lower, was because we understand that in the long term, technically we don't do fundamentals out here. We understood that institutionally, order flow would most likely be bullish down the line. And if it is, then we need to start engineering liquidity as we move lower, right? In the form of all these trend lines, in the form of these trend lines, in the form of these trend lines, in the form of the equal highs, right? Engineering all this liquidity so that once we finally accumulate one last time, whether it's in here or down inside of this area, and we have the confirmation of volume and all that fun stuff that we've spoken about so far, then we can look for those higher prices. So we're not going to jump too in depth on what happened here, but start of the week occurred and we had a beautiful schematic unfold right about here. Again, I think we looked at this on a different time frame, but that's not going to be important right now. We had our buying climax, right, to the AR, to the STs, which created intermediary highs, a bunch of liquidity, to the UT that liquidated the buying climax. We had that sign of weakness showing us that price most likely wanted to go lower, and at the same time, price volume was dropping as we began to accumulate all these orders. Started to create that creek up that got liquidated on that side, then got liquidated on this side, and at this point, we were pretty much waiting for those tests of this higher time frame order block, but instead prices broke down, and this was fine to us because we recognized that, and we also had an increase in volume, and this increase in volume, again, like we spoke about, basically highlighted that this Wyckoff schematic, or whatever you want to call it, was indeed valid, even if it didn't hold down into the future, and that institutional order flow was generally to the downside. But because we had our higher time frame points of interest and we had higher time frame analysis that wanted to take us lower, when we saw this sign of weakness get created and this accumulation occur here, again, there were opportunities to go long with areas the partial at, and then more opportunities to go long until we got back up into this area, right? We weren't looking at this as anything special. We weren't even looking at the 50%. We were just looking to get a nice little entry in because we knew that most likely institutional order flow was going to be taken lower. Again, again, as we started to make highs, we started to see that decrease in volume, right? As we had that breakdown, we started to see that increase in volume. Again, we have schematics playing out over and over again. Again, this is a longer schematic. Here's a schematic in here. It's a little bit uglier. Here's a schematic in here. Here's a schematic in here, right? The snowflake rule. There's schematics everywhere. It's all about the ones that look the best to you and where your expectations lie. And of course, we validate those with the help of volume. So again, we were watching volume a lot more closer, and we don't have to do that right now just because we're going over a few of the trades. But we saw that volume decrease, that increase. We knew this was valid for lower prices. Potentially, we wanted to come higher before coming lower again, right? The idea of needing to buy to sell and sell to buy. Again, why is that important? And why does that happen in price? Because we have to constantly create and facilitate orders between the composite man and everybody else. Because the composite man can only make money if people are placing trades on the other side of the market. And how do they do that? Well, they start thinking that we finally caught a low, right? We start seeing higher prices. Those get liquidated before we see higher prices. We create more areas that start looking or getting people emotionally involved into longs until we liquidate them, making it look like there's going to be shorts, you know, liquidating those, so on and so forth, and just continuing this repetitive basically style to the composite man's price movements to engineer all that liquidity and come grab more positions. Now, as we came up and grabbed the positions here and got involved in this sell, we started to see prices break down. And again, we were expecting OB 2.0. So for anyone that's seen the video, you would know what an order block 2.0 is. Basically just, again, looking at other time frames to see where the best points of inefficiency were and where the order blocks lay. Again, 50% of them, the highs of them. And we were just looking to get involved on those as prices came back up to those areas, and we were able to start getting involved with partial taking along the way just because we understood prices could have came to make some higher highs. Getting involved in miniature accumulations that happen. So again, with the group, we're looking at second time frame sometimes. We're going all over the place. Even though you can swing trade and trade very long term, we are operating as Forex traders, day trading, so we are okay with taking looks at significantly lower time frames. So again, as you can see, we had volume confirmation occur a few times. As prices broke down again, we had the volume increase. So we've had two instances where volume has pretty much shown us and validated potential schematics that occurred in their snowflake fashions, or this one that occurred pretty nicely, gave you that sign of weakness before coming back up to test. So on a higher time frame, this will look a lot more cleaner, but in reality, right, all these labels don't matter. All that matters is you understand what institutional order flow want to do. And because we were bearish on this throughout the start of the week, with the bullish long-term hold in mind, we were looking for those down trades, basically hedge trades, if you want to think about them that way, all the way back down into our potential buy scenarios. So we had all these potential entries that we could have taken, and again, the lock-in for the profit or at least partials was just in this area. But don't think that we didn't trail as prices broke down. As prices pretty much broke down below these lows and these lows here, we began to trail to break evens or even some of these highs right here. So luckily we were kept inside. Again, there were countless opportunities for OB 2.0s and, you know, snowflake re-entries along the way, until we made it all the way back down here, in which case we accumulated just before market close and began to take off a little bit. And now we're coming back down after what appears to be another distribution. So we can't be too sure right now. Again, we're not going to talk too much about what our bias for next week is and how we're going to be involved on it. But this week we had some beautiful trades off of eurocad, and this was also linked with some trades that we caught on euro USD, which were absolutely beautiful by the group themselves. So again, at this point in the group, a lot of people are starting to employ these concepts and send out their own analysis and their own trades. There was a beautiful area up here that we were looking for the test of the same schematic. So very similar to what you just saw in eurocad playing out here. So here's your snowflake, but in this case, it was much easier to label, right? We had that buying climax. If you want to get through it, we have the PSY, that buying climax, that AR, right? That ST creating equal highs and actually engineering liquidity, as you can see again, in the form of a trend line and equal highs. That UT that liquidated those, the move down creating equal lows, the move up that liquidated the UT just by a little bit, but still liquidated it, creating that UTAD, that breakdown. And we actually had a test here, and then we had prices come down, giving us that very large sign of weakness, right? But also giving us a very nice area that we could target in the future, right? And then we had that test occur, and we started to break down with some potentials for OB 2.0s as price moved down. So as you've been introduced to in our other videos, so OB 2.0s were formed along the way. We were able to catch this down to the trend line, but most importantly to these lows, right? So again, I wasn't watching this too much. I was looking at eurocad this week because I was more interested in that order flow, but euro USD had some beautiful setups, and we had a lot of people in the group actually catch this sell. Additionally, as a lot of you know, gold had a huge 600 pip drop off, and we had a few people actually get funded off of that move alone. I did not call it, somebody else called it, but it's just beautiful to see how the group is slowly growing to become something bigger. We had another setup here. This was not sent out, but I was just watching this as Nobi 2.0. We had this beautiful trend line that was forming. The move through trend line liquidated those people. People were getting involved in sells here, as you can see. Again, the same footprints that we see all the time. The move away, getting people involved in sells. The move through, picking up their orders. Distributing again, giving us that setup off that OB 2.0. The drop that led us to partial or take our full position off here, which already was, I believe, like a 1 to 6. Not even sure. It's a very big RR that you could have caught right there, and then move back up. So generally, the point of this video is just to show you a little bit about how we've been using these concepts, how people in the group have used them to basically catch some very nice trades, and how we were able to catch some trades on eurocad this week as well. Additionally, Bitcoin has been pretty beautiful for the most part. Actually, this setup, we did send it out. We're watching it on a lower time frame right now for potential accumulation. So we saw some kind of selling climax AR, ST, STBs, and springs, looking for those potential moves up, the tests, and then continuations higher. Of course, we don't know how high Bitcoin's going to fly. It's just been flying on its own, so that's fine. We can be bullish until our perception changes. We've been bullish since it was I believe since it was like at 18K. We really don't care how high it gets. What matters is that we're following the order flow. There's no point trying to pick highs or bottoms. All we have to do is keep on picking up those orders left in the market by smart money and getting involved in them as dumb money continues to try and catch highs or even lows. Okay, so the point of this video is just to quickly show you how you can use your arsenal to put some stuff together, to go over a little bit what we had this week in the group, surpass how a lot of people are starting to get funded using, first of all, the ideas and analysis we send out, as well as ideas and analysis that other people send out. So again, this group wouldn't be possible without all of you, and thank you so much for all of you that actually send stuff out in the group. And I'm gonna leave you guys with this basically. So this was just a quick video to go over a few things, put some concepts together, show you how volume works with everything, show you how we're looking for Wyckoff, how our expectations occur over time, and how we set new expectations every week and get involved using those expectations. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this made a lot of sense to you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.